Welcome to Mendezville Live, where it's something to talk about. Here is Rudy Mendez.
What's going on, Mendezville Live? I just thought I'd show you my nice cap from Primo's Beef Jerky. Not too bad, but let me put on my headphones now. Woo! Now, let's see here. Can you imagine a world without beef jerky? Thanks to Primos, you don't have to. You guys gotta try it. I got to try it this weekend. It's some pretty good beef jerky. I like the taste. They got some spicy, some teriyaki, some lemon pepper or some black pepper. Sorry, it's pretty good stuff. Really enjoyed it. For somebody that I'm not a big beef jerky guy, but I liked it. So, new show, school board, elections coming up. I got a pretty well educated person, some pretty good certifications, degrees, stuff like that. Thinker. We have that person on the show. So let's see here. I like this angle right here. This is my better angle. Spurs, before we get into it, today I heard that Greg Popovich is out. If somebody can comment on that, what's the deal with that? He's leaving. Who knows? Today we're taking a break from sports. We're going to be dealing with sports maybe tomorrow. I know we're going to be talking about sports on Tuesday. I have two special guests coming on. And then I think I have a Thursday. I have another politician or school board on the agenda. So we'll see. I think I might have tomorrow, Monday, a 20-year veteran of school boards. So that way they can give us their insight. But without further ado, let's bring in a former UT RGV professor, current sales rep, retail, and school board candidate for place number 5, Dr. Andie Lee Gonzalez. How are you doing, Dr. Andie Lee?
Doing well, Rudy. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we get to talk about.
It's pretty late, but this is the best time.
Yeah. We get to talk. We get to talk about your journey. Where have you been? What made you click on saying I'm going to run for school board?
Yep.
And issues you might see that are affecting us. Some of your goals, and let us know what aspirations you have for this school district. I know you're a graduate from here, right?
Yep. Class of 2002.
Class of 2000. Hey, that's my brother. You're with my brother?
Yes. And yeah.
Adolfo Mendez. Hey, just to let you know, Adolfo Mendez running for Aguasad. So, yeah. Good times. La Joya is the puro coyote.
For sure.
So, Andie, I know. You're a doctor. I have a master's. I did some travels to the Midwest. The only thing that I really do know about you before this podcast and getting together with you was the fact that I heard you went to the Midwest. Where did you go to the Midwest after high school?
Yeah, so I went to Michigan State University. So
Spartans? Are those Spartans?
Spartan. I bleed green a little bit. I did my undergraduate there and also my master's and my internship so that I can sit in for my board exam to become a dietitian.
So is that where you get your the doctor from?
Yeah, it's a lengthy process, but I'm so glad where I'm at today. And, it was a lot of sacrifice and hard work, but I got it done.
I'll tell you what, though, when I was in the Midwest at Indiana State, that Saturday college football, that Saturday college football, what a great time. And see, when I was in college at UTSA, we didn't have a football team, Texas Longhorns, Aggies, Saturday football. I wasn't really that into it. But when I was in the Midwest, there was just something about it, man. It's nice, cool fall weather, autumn, the leaves turning colors. Oh, what a great time.
Oh, I loved it. I think that's probably one of the things that I probably missed the most is just the weather change, the leaves changing and even winter, it does get pretty lonesome, right? Especially when it's snowing because you can't go out much, but just that change in weather, I really do miss because then you look forward to even the summer, the summer in the lakes. Michigan's always going to hold a very special place in my heart because of some of, I got to spend a lot of time there through my schooling, through my education, and a lot of the work, nonprofit work that I got to do as well.
Oh, really? Nice. What kind of nonprofit did you do up there?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to work with a researcher, Dr. Wang Sang, that I am super grateful for because early on she took me under her wing. She knew that I wanted to become a dietitian, and we actually would visit in northern Michigan. If you're familiar with Michigan, there's you do the hand, and so in
Yeah.
northern Michigan in Traverse City, we used to go up to farm worker camps, and I helped, and also Ann Avery, who helped me manage this internship program, but we would go out there and do some needs assessment with farm worker families around nutritional status and just overall health assessment. So I did that for about, I would say, 4 or 5 years. Every summer, we would, for 2.5 months, me and
That
my
was it.
family would go out there and,
Oh, okay.
yeah, support that program.
During undergrad or grad work or both?
It was actually both. So I started as an internship in 2006, and again, there's key people, right, that influence you and believe in you.
For sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. I had a mentor, Ann Avery, who believed in me being able to support this program and really to its full potential because it was a grant-funded program. And so I had the privilege of taking over and, very proud because these, 4 interns that came in every summer, a lot of them are doctors today. So it's really nice to see the impact that I had in their lives as well. And the impact that they had in mine as well. It's just, I feel like it's a mutual benefit when you mentor and see growth in the individuals that you get to mentor.
No, no doubt. I see that as a coach right here in the
Yeah, for
valley now,
sure.
coaching kids. But when you talk about mentors, it's such a great time or such a blessing to have those kind of people. I know I had you mentioned yours. I had some both at UTSA, at Indiana State. Very grateful and thankful. I'm sure you feel the same way.
No,
But
and I
that,
mean, you see it all the time as a coach, right? I mean, you do that
yeah,
every day with our kids. That
yeah,
you provide that encouragement, that belief, and you see how they succeed because of that encouragement.
for sure. For sure. I'm still trying to get one of my ex students, ex athletes here, but he's busy. So, but we'll get him. So,
Yeah.
Andie, so you go to Michigan State. Um, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about asking you a question about Michigan State versus Michigan, but that is
Oh yeah,
besides
you
the point.
can. I'm in green.
But
I
that
don't
is,
have an answer. I have my football team partner over
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's all right.
We always went to the games. I mean,
Yeah.
we try to go. The Saturdays when they were home. I mean, we got to experience all of that: football, basketball. We did the intramural soccer. We try to be as involved as much as we could in the university because we were just very fortunate to have that opportunity for us.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about school board, and it's very interesting that I have a philosophy of my own,
Yeah.
and and we'll get into that later. But I'm just sharing
Sure.
with the public right now is you don't have to be an intramurals. You really don't. But I feel that being part of intramurals as a participant and as a referee and a supervisor just showcases how much passion a person has for sports. Like to me, there's other coaches in the area from here in the valley, and I'm like, I wonder how passionate they were about sports, or did they just get a kinesis degree to get an easy job? Because I love sports, and my wife, I'll tell you what, my wife, she knew I like sports, and she's even told me, she goes, I knew you like sports, but I didn't know you were gonna dissect every single game you watched on TV. I was like, it is a master's in rec and sport management. So, and I did all these intramurals, so you kind of knew what you were getting into. But we'll get into all that later.
No, I love that. I mean, I have that at home, Rudy. So, I live and breathe football as well because of, obviously with my husband being a coach. It's
Oh, that's
something
right.
that I do every day. So I'm sure I can relate to your wife.
Oh, yeah, he coached my daughter, no, for like a year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Coach Jim is what they call him.
Yeah. Yeah. Good guy. Good guy. I'll tell you what. Good guy. So you graduate from you get your master's, and then you get your doctorate. How soon after that?
Yeah, so I did my master's in public health. I did follow, one thing that I always share with students, upcoming dietitians, is that I didn't follow a very traditional route in my education, Rudy. So I finished my bachelor's in dietetics. Soon after that, unfortunately, we lost my dad, and
I'm sorry to
I had
hear.
to kind of reroute things because for those that are watching today, an internship to become a dietitian is you have to pay for it. So I, after that happened, and I had to just, again, pivot. Right, when you think about basketball, I had to pivot and just find a new path. And so I went into a master's in public health. Thankfully, I entered the College of Human Medicine to do my master's. I did that for about 2 years. I saved up enough money so that I can apply into a competitive internship, got accepted, did that unpaid. Remember, I have to pay for these hours for 11 months. Then after that, said in 2 months so I can study because I wanted to be prepared. I wanted, that investment in that test to be worth it. Right. And soon after that, I got licensed as a registered dietitian. Nice. I did a lot of work in between. So I've done everything. If you're very familiar with the role of a dietitian, there's a lot of avenues that you can pursue. So community being one of them. So I did the nonprofit side, as I shared earlier, mostly with farm worker families and doing nutritional needs assessments. Then I went into also food service. So I've managed a kitchen, a community hospital kitchen, a little bit further out of where the university was at. And I managed, a cafeteria. I managed a cafe. I was an inpatient dietitian as well. So I did clinical as well. So when you think about when you're in the hospital, and you get sick, the dietitian is able to provide like a diet plan, just making sure that you have the nutritional needs, especially when you're trying to recover. And then, so I did that for a while. Soon after that, I knew I wanted to get closer to home because I always envisioned myself and my family to be back home. And so when a retailer posted a job position that was going to be in San Antonio, actually, I applied. We put all our ducks into that role, and we just got in a U-Haul and drove down, not knowing if I was going to get hired on or not. Thankfully, I have a very supportive husband, and so and I'm not even joking. I mean, the retailer laughs about it today because I actually drove into their headquarters in a U-Haul.
Nice.
And just quickly changed. 28 hours drive in my interview. They didn't know, but as I was walking out, they called me and they're like, you know what, you're from the border. We're going to put you in the border. So I was very fortunate. I'm a very faithful person. I have a lot of faith, and I think that God opens different doors for you. So I thought actually I was going to be moving to San Antonio or Corpus, but luckily enough, I got to start a nutrition program here in the Valley that I'm very proud of. So I did that. And then I started my doctorate about 4 years ago. Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio has a satellite office here in La Feria.
Oh, nice. I've been to Our Lady of the Lake. I played some intramurals actually there back in the day. So it's a nice campus, and luckily it's a satellite. So so you move to the Valley, you get your doctorate, and then how long do you do? Tell me about UTRGV. How do you get into that?
Yeah, so obviously I've always had a passion for education. I mean, me being through it, I always joke around because I have a little cousin. Her name is Haley. She's so sweet, but she would always be like, Juanita, you've been in school so long. And I'm like, yeah, I have, because it took me a while. It's a lot of sacrifice. I mean, when my daughter was 2, I was finishing up my internship. So I had to lean a lot on my husband to help support, us as we were going through, my education career, right, for growth. But, I did that. And, soon after, did my doctorate. And when I finally was through the process, I actually reached out to one of their directors, and he was very supportive. I said, hey, you know what? I want to teach. And he thought I wanted to leave the retailer. I said, no. I don't want to leave the retailer. I'm very happy where I'm at, but I want to give back, and I want to be able to nurture upcoming Latino dietitians in the field, because I saw the importance of that profession, and which I am very involved with, state level and also national level organizations till this day, because I see the importance of just guiding and coaching, right, in our profession to be able to have better representation of our communities. And so I did that, and sure enough, I got into UTRGV. I was teaching community nutrition and also their practicum. Unfortunately, however, their program closed, but I'm really rooting for them to open we have a great upcoming interim director that's opening up the nutrition program again, hopefully 2021. So maybe you'll see me back there doing some work there again.
How many years did you do there at UTRGV?
So I was at UTRGV for a year and a half.
Okay, cool. And the only reason I'm asking is because I love what I do. And the other day I posted on Facebook, I wonder if I could find an intramural position job that pays what a teacher pays with all the breaks and stuff like that, which I can't.
Yeah.
It's just.
They create it. Throw
I know, right?
Somebody.
I know it's probably exists in Mendezville ISD or the city of Mendezville or the Mendezville University. But I will say, working with 18-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, a college student, it's pretty cool and it's pretty satisfying. And you get to mold them and developing. And a lot of the background that I had, and I'm sure you had the same, was a lot of student development. Getting these young minds, these 18, 19, 20-year-olds, these driven and getting them ready for the workforce. How can you guide them, give them advice? And I think when you go in a path like yours, and I like your path in the sense of it's very similar to mine, is you're a fan of knowledge, you're a fan of education. So we kind of know that how important it is to mentor people and how to give the students the best we can, right?
Yep, I agree.
So with that being said, so we have your background.
Yep.
We have your background, which is a pretty nice background, I must admit. Now we get into the school board. What was it that you say, you know what, I'm going to run for school board? Because, before you answer that question, because from what I'm finding out from everyone I talked to over the past 2-3 years, or not even a year and a half that I got into this political Mendezville or whatever it is you have your little groups or your little pods, and the political chess game is like, hey, who are we going to get? And we're going to get this person. Or, we have a little meeting and it's okay, who's going to team up with who and who's going to team up with who and cómo le vamos a hacer y que para ganar. And I'm thinking to myself, at any point, the conversations is like, who are we going to put in to make a difference? And whether it's school board or city election, La Jolla, Mission, Rio Grande, my thing is, does that come up? Were you part of any of that stuff that I'm mentioning, or was it just you, or how did you click?
I'm going to tell you that I chose my own path. And something that I'm very proud of. So this seed actually was planted a couple of years ago, almost 12 years ago, when my dad was in the school board. I can tell you that he was somebody that I looked up to and admired. I saw the public service that he did in our community, Rudy, and it was just something that touched my heart. And I knew that I wanted to follow in those footsteps. Some people might challenge me and say, hey, why didn't you do it before? Well, I talked to you about my whole education career. Took a lot of preparation, sacrifice. I worked really hard even for the role that I'm in right now in the retailer that I'm with, for career advancement. So I can put my family in a position where we were a lot more stable. And now is the time. I prayed about it and I am ready, right? When I think about the skills, the experience, my education, I know I have what it takes. And I want to just emphasize that I chose this path.
Nice, good. And it's very interesting you mentioned that, because I had Marco Suarez here a while back, and I shared with him my philosophy. And I even posted on one of my posts on Facebook I told him, I was like, Marco, my thing is, I get this because of working at the university level is you don't do much as a school board member. And he even mentioned at the beginning, you don't get paid to be there. Like, you make no money. Your bank account should not go all of a sudden from your regular salary. All of a sudden, you're in a school board position, and also your bank account is a lot more. He's told me we don't make money. I said, okay, that's one. You don't make money. So you're there for the students. So what is it that? How do you go about that situation of you chose your own path? Now, what is your vision?
So when I think about my vision, as far as my platform, there's a few things that I am very passionate about, just from my background and my health career, right? So one of the initiatives is broadening the health and wellness initiatives for our district. There's a lot of great things that we're doing, but I always say, we're doing great, but we can do better, right? There's always opportunities. There's always opportunities for new ideas. So that's going to be one of them top of mind, just because I am a dietitian by trade. And that's something that I'm always going to be passionate about, whether it's, supporting our child nutrition program, employees, right? You guys have a, I tell Ricky, I say we because, he is an employee of the district as well, but, great wellness center, right? That's facilitated for our teachers and our staff to become more active. But then I want to take it a step further, right? Is there incentives for employees to get healthier? Is there savings or premiums that we can offer so that they can, be proactive to live a healthier and more quality of life? Because I'm a firm believer that healthy employees equals happy employees. And that also increases productivity and also the opportunity for the district to save money as well. When you think about worker injury, when you think about medication, right? They say 1 in 3 Texans will be diabetic. I always say I'm probably going to be one of them because both my grandparents had diabetes, but the opportunity lies around how do we create a culture of health? And that's something that I'm going to be very passionate about just by, my being, right? And then, then there's workforce readiness, right? How do we continue to prepare our students, our teachers, our staff, right? And then, the last one is just, again, creating a culture of authenticity, transparency, because that's what parents want. Me as a parent of a 12-year-old and now 16-month-old, big gap, transparency is so important, right? We want parent involvement. We want, child inclusion. We want to think the decisions that we make alongside the superintendent, because I do believe that she is the chief commander. She is the one that should steer the ship, right? So I very well support Mr. Suarez, him saying, we offer the support that she needs so that she can make operational decisions to be able to support our students, our teachers, and also community at La Jolla ISD.
Yeah, just so anybody who's watching, you mentioned Suarez. You're talking about Marco Suarez when me and him converse about the school board. The school board really doesn't do much. The school board shouldn't be hands-on. The school board is just there, make sure that the superintendent does the good things and every other director does the good things. I think there's a bit.
We do. I'm going to challenge you on that. We do. I think that the school board is the voice of the community, right? So they should hear, right? They should be an open ear. I always say I'm an open ear, an open heart, an open mind. We want to hear those concerns. We want to be able to share, different ideas, different, things that we can be doing. But like I said, it's a collective effort. At the end of the day, that's how we're going to be successful, right? How do each person contribute to the betterment of our district alongside the superintendent? I mean, she is, credentialed. She has the experience, and we need to support that, right? And the way that we do that is collectively.
No doubt, and that's you're absolutely right. Thank you for challenging me on that. That's correct. It's you
need a school board. I think it's an open dialogue, right? We want to have discussions. I know that you're, I think we see eye to eye on that, right? We want to have that open dialogue. We want to have these crucial conversations, right? To be able to do better in our district.
So when you mentioned do better, and this is one thing, for example, you say you do better, and you mentioned wellness. It's very interesting. Let me just some examples that I've seen of what you just said is, I remember I was working at UTSA, and when I had meetings because I was working at downtown campus, I had meetings at the main campus over in 1604. When I was driving, I would drive back after the meeting. It was usually around lunch or 11:30. There was this one company, what is it called? Either way, it doesn't matter the business company, big company. Their employees, they would give them an extra hour or 30 minutes, an hour and a half, I think it was. So they would go get their jogging, right? They would go jog. And that was an incentive to where they all would go, they'd go running, walking, but it was part of the premiums and better pricing for their insurance. Because, I asked, hey, what's going on here? And, through the course of time, they explained it to me. And that was a pretty interesting stuff you're talking about. Another thing, with that, it created some happy employees, healthy employees. I mean, I've always tried being into the health stuff, coaching and my master's, especially with this 4 Life stuff that I have and the immune system and understand the endocrine system and the microbiome that you talk about. I'm sure you know a lot more of it than I do. You're well versed in that. But it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. I know right now we have the wellness program, which is pretty cool. It builds camaraderie, stuff like that.
I
And
mean,
one of
there's
the
different methods, right? There's different structures, but
Mhm.
it's open. It's an opportunity to look into other avenues, right? We want to just have that open mind and see what are the other things we can offer for staff to engage in healthier lifestyle habits.
No, for sure. So one thing, you mentioned a few of those things, and I get that the premiums, the happy employees, all that. So one of the not the knocks, but one of the things that I always tell people is when someone tells me it's all for the students, how, right? And I don't like this. For example, even in the presidential candidacy, there's a lot of broad. For example, somebody says, "Oh, I'm against or I'm with gun control," but that doesn't mean you're going to take your weapons away. It's just certain laws to whatever. It's not you're gonna so. A little bit more specific. So, can you get into some specific ideas or something that you might have?
For as far as for student success, is
Yeah.
that what you're asking?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think that when I think about child, growth and development, nutrition is going to be one of them, right? And so, just really tying into our child nutrition program, ensuring that they have the tools to be able to implement healthy habits amongst our kids, right? Increasing fruits and vegetables, if they're not eating them, right? Looking at different evaluation tools so that they can eat more fruits and vegetables, because that's the basis of a lot of the vitamins and the nutrients that our body needs, right? To be able
Yeah.
to sustain a healthy and quality development. But then when we think about readiness in the classroom, it's even thinking about some of the challenges that we're facing today, right? Unfortunately, we're going through a pandemic and we're moving into a new area, right, of e-learning. And so when I think of the child, we have to be very close. I mean, they're the fundamental piece of our education, right? They are our main focus when we think about our education system. And so for me, it's how are we preparing them to get into e-learning, right? How are we helping them navigate this system? I, as a parent, am concerned about that, right? So how do we provide solutions where we're doing ongoing training, tutoring? That's definitely something that the district has to think about right now. When we think about two parents that are working outside of the household remotely right now, how are they going to function, being on the clock and then helping their child navigate this e-learning system, right? So I think that there's a lot of opportunities. So solutions that I bring right to the table as far as like things that I envision is, how do we continue to provide tutoring, training for both the parent and the child? Because that's really going to help provide that healthy environment so that they can, thrive and be successful in this new environment that we're all embracing.
I'm sure most people agree with you, and whether it be you or
And
any
if they
candidate.
don't, I mean, I'm going to look at it from a safety standpoint, right?
Right.
A
Right.
lot of people are not comfortable with the e-learning, but until we find a method of treatment and we're able to really, stay close to all the guidelines as far as social distancing, we want to keep our children safe, our teachers safe, our staff safe, and community safe. And right now, we just don't have that. I mean,
It's hard because it's hard.
We don't have a vaccine.
Right. And not only that, we're getting kind of forced. We're given the 3-week window for virtual learning, but then the talks seem like we're going to have to go back at some point. So that's kind of from the very top. So, that's challenging.
We have to stay close to our community. We have to stay close to our teachers, our parents, right? Stay close to what their needs are. Because I think that's when we make the best decisions.
For sure. No, absolutely. I completely agree.
Because I understand the business side, right? And funding. But the reality is that we can't sacrifice one child, one teacher. That's not the right thing to do.
And I think most people agree with you, but there's also that other side. But that's more of a political thing at the very top.
I know. I got a little bit.
No, which is awesome. I'm glad you mentioned it because it leads me to this. Before we continue, I posted something the other day or yesterday, I think it was, or today, I don't know, about what questions do people have for school board, candidates or the ones that are incumbent or whatever it is, right, that are already there. And almost all the comments were about COVID, right? And I think at this point, I think we're all
What were
understand.
the questions? Were they more like because of e-learning or going back or what?
Just there was parents, teachers, stuff like that. And to me, I was thinking, okay, you're talking about COVID. At this point, I think we already know wear your mask, distance, If we have to go back, it's because I don't think it's our administration or teachers, more of the very top, governor, president, funding, TA, all those things, right? We got to get paid, or we don't get paid. We don't go back. We don't get paid, right? When you mention about student success, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. It's going to take about. It's lengthy, and I want to know your. I want to know your perspective on this. And this goes for everybody out there, especially those parents out there that are listening. I might listen to this. I'm going to send this to some of my ex-soccer players. It all starts with the soccer players. And most coaches talk about, and this has nothing to do with sports, but sports is involved.
Okay.
So a lot of my guys, or a lot of the really good soccer players that are in the area, and I'm talking about Division One caliber. I'm talking about. I know soccer. We have a lot of Division One, and I'm talking about top tier Division One soccer players that can play, whether it's at Juarez Lincoln or at La Jolla High School. Some Palm View guys I've heard are pretty good too, but the stereotype is over there. Either way, then most of the coaches that I brought onto the show talk about grades, 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 grades. And here's where it gets interesting about student success. I told you it was going to be lengthy. Come on in. Who's coming in? ¿Quién es? Give me a sec. Is that you, Levy? What's up, Papa? Oh, yeah, you got my tea. It's a family fun. Okay, just give it to me. Come on, give it to me. It's all right. Okay. Sorry about that, viewers.
So you probably hear a little.
It's all right. Thank you, Papa. Love you, man. Have a good night. It's all right. See you later. All right. It's my golfing team. Sorry. Okay. Either way, soccer players, they got to make their grades. This is what I noticed on the bilingual dual language. My daughter and my son speak English at home. So me as a person, I said, I need them to speak Spanish at school. So me and my wife we spent a lot of money for 2 years before they go into pre-K. They're in Spanish all day. They speak Spanish, they talk Spanish, or speak and talk are the same thing. Sorry, they listen to Spanish, they read Spanish, they're learning everything in Spanish. You know what language they talk the most? English. Because we speak English at home. We watch TV in English at home. Be patient with me. Here we go. For all you parents out there. So then I'm thinking to myself, well, if these guys that are in school all day speak Spanish, but yet their dominant language when they talk to us, and for the most part, is English, then I go into this situation. First generation, you're born in the United States, or you start school in any school district, not only La Jolla, most of the school districts here in the Valley.
Yeah.
When I see kids, not all the soccer players, but the soccer players are mostly first generation, they get to 6th grade, and that's the very first time they test in English because they have bilingual dual, and a lot of those come in at a 1st or 2nd grade or 3rd grade reading level. How in the world are my soccer Division One athletes, you were at a Division One school, how in the world do we expect to send those top tier athletes to a D1 school when we're teaching them Spanish instead of English because they speak Spanish at home, they talk Spanish to their parents, to their family, to their friends? Now you switch it. My situation here at home with my kids, I'm a firm believer we need to stop teaching them so much dual bilingual by 2nd grade, because then get this, I have an aunt that teaches in Corpus Christi. She goes, by 2nd grade, they all test out of Spanish. By 3rd grade, the latest. Now, you have the special factors that if you're new to the country, okay, it takes you a little bit longer. But if you start pre-K or kindergarten in the United States, in any school district, not only La Jolla, in any school district, especially here in the Valley, we all speak Spanish. At home, you speak Spanish. I'm a firm believer, because of what I saw with my kids, that by 2nd or 3rd grade, hey, we got to start setting them in English, and we got to teach them in English all day so their brain can absorb. Am I way off here, or what? Or am I just crazy?
No, I mean, I think you have some valid points there. I'm not in the district yet, right? So I think that there's some homework that I have to do on my end, right, to really be able to understand the foundation of why the certain structure is today. But I hear you. I mean, I think that there's a lot of opportunity when we think about even not even just the soccer player, right? So as an educator working at UTRGV, right, I saw a lot of opportunities when it came to high schools. We have a lot of high schools that have dual enrollment, credits, right? That they're getting all these credits, and the fundamentals of reading and writing is still a struggle, right? So I hear you. I think there's still a lot of support that we have to. We have very qualified teachers,
Oh,
right?
for sure, for sure.
Oftentimes, it has to be, what are the tools that we're providing so that we can ensure that we're doing what's best for that child, right? So you mentioned some of those challenges around language. I'm a first generation. I remember a note that my mom still has today when I was in first grade, where a teacher put, Andie needs to work on her. It's not look it, but look at, and God bless Miss Gandaria, right? But it talks about some of the challenges that our students face, right? You have that bicultural, right? You have those languages, diversity in the household, right? Whether it's language. And so it's just really important for us to see, the numbers as far as, are we really preparing them for their future, right? When we think about readiness to go into college or other programs, right? So we know that not all students follow, a college path.
Right.
We want to be able to offer them trade programs, certificate programs, even just workforce readiness, right? So they may not even want a certificate. Maybe they want to go work for a retailer. So how do we implement externships so that those students can be ready to go into those fields? But I hear you. I think that since I'm not there yet with when we think about our curriculum and some of those things, I'd have to do a little bit of homework, Rudy, honestly, so that when the time is when my time is right, that I could provide my experience, my education, my expertise to do what's right for the student.
No, and no doubt about that. I'll tell you what. I think I'm saying it more from.
Those are valid concerns.
I think I'm saying it more not only for La Jolla. It's just everyone across the valley. Bilingual education is right for all students. No doubt about that. Someone's commenting on that. I completely agree.
It offers opportunities. I can tell you.
Yeah. Or else I wouldn't have my kids in Spanish. I have my kids in Spanish. They have to learn Spanish and they need to know English. But
so I can tell you when I was in Michigan, being bilingual was definitely an asset for me. I was able to communicate and relate to a lot of the communities that I was serving. But at the same time, when we look at just employment opportunities, it opened up a lot more opportunities because I was bilingual.
No doubt about that. I think I'm just saying it just to clear up what Luis Carlos Bocanegra is stating, who's obviously watching. It's not that I'm against bilingual. It's just the name of the game is STAR. The name of the game is STAR. And your grades are in English. In high school and junior high, it's in English. So it's not that I'm against learning both languages. I am for it. But the name of the game is STAR, and you get tested in English. So I firmly believe that we need to, like you said, man, what a great answer. We need to look into it.
In any program, right? There's an opportunity for evaluation, looking at outcomes, right? I think there's always opportunities in seeing how we can do better.
Right. And it's very interesting. I cleared that up with Luis a little bit and whatever it may be. And not only Luis. Yeah, and not only Luis. It's just, it's one of those things you're all for or against. I guess it's just me from the sport fan is.
Yeah.
I see a lot of these kids.
Right? You're seeing it as a coach. You're seeing it as an educator. You're seeing it also for their future.
Yeah.
Right? We want to make sure that when they're a product of La Jolla ISD, we want them to be ready.
Yeah.
And, be able to tackle the world and do great things. So it's our social responsibility to nurture that.
No doubt about that. So what brings me to the next point on this conversation that you're talking about is we can always do better. What's very interesting is this for our area, because there's elections here in Sherryland. There's elections in Mission. You see the posters. It's interesting how I asked Linda, I don't know if I touched that with Linda, but I don't know. I had her on before you. But it's interesting that there's a lot of candidates for this school board election. And the other day I posted on Mendezville, or on my post, that in Mendezville ISD, the school board does so well. And all this negative, and there's none of that they do so well that they have not been contested over 20 years. So by seeing so many candidates, is it that are we doing things wrong, or what was it, or because like you said, like, can you give us a little bit of feedback on what you see going on, and a little bit of I know you made the decision on your own there.
Yeah. I think, as an educated Latina, I think people in our community, want to continue to see change, right? A positive change. I think our district has done a great job, but there's always opportunities, Rudy. I mean, in any avenue, right? People are challenging the status quo, right? I feel like there's a place for everyone, and if somebody feels that they have the right to want to contribute to our community, our district, and they offer different ideas, new ideas, they should do it. And I encourage I had fellow classmates that were interested, and I encouraged them. I said, run against me if you want, because I think it's showing our district that we want better representation. We want to continue to challenge the status quo. That's who I am. I'm always going to try to push the limits, right, to see how we can do better. And I might not be the best candidate, right, but I know what I bring to the table. And I bring to the table education, experience, skills, new ideas, and different avenues that maybe we haven't thought about before. And so when we think about all the candidates, I respect each and every one of them, and I tell them we can do it respectfully, this campaign, and just show the community what we bring to the table.
It's interesting you mentioned that. Before I go to the other topic I have here, let me write it down here real quick. It's interesting you mentioned that, because the community and respect each other. So I made a comment. I mentioned
your little one in the back.
Huh?
Oh, I thought you could hear my little one in the back.
No. It's all good. No worry. We're parents. Hey, it's part of the gig.
Yeah.
It's part of the gig. We're parents. So my brother's running for Awasad, right? Mm-hmm. And I mentioned this with Linda, where, well, my brother and myself, personality-wise, we're totally different people. We're totally different people.
Everybody's we're both their own unique person.
Yeah. We're both educated, and when I talk to you about the meetings that they have, and everybody's gonna team up, and whoever we do it is, and then you said you made this on your own, so obviously you have an agenda of you want to make a difference, right? And I think when you talk about the community, I think we need to get out of the political party, because see, I'm a firm believer that at the national level, Congress is one of the main problems. The Republican versus a Democrat. The whole Joe Flores versus the ever team. This is a school board. In your case, school board. In Linda's case, a city. There's no ever. There's no Joe. There's what is best for the community. And you mentioned you might not be the best candidate. Well, maybe you are the best candidate. Yeah. You're educated. You go by that. Can you give us a little bit more of, as a school board member, what makes in your mind the best candidate, or a good candidate, or a good school board member?
So for me, I think that the superintendent should be surrounded by good people that are wanting to see positive impact and movement for our district, right? And so when I look at a school board member, they don't always have to be educated. That's what I bring to the table. We want a representation of our community, right? We want somebody that is a parent. We want somebody that, when we think about operationally, as far as the school board and the district's needs, we need to have some of that representation so that we can make the best decisions. So you want people that, are educated, maybe have skills, maybe have experience, and also, with the student in mind. I'm a servant in my heart. I'm a servant leader. So I'm always going to want to be able to help our community in any way or fashion. But we need people that have, a business mindset, right? Because there's a lot of operational sides, things that we think about, right? We want an educator because we need to think about the tools and the resources that our teachers have. So I think, when we think about what is the best ideal candidate, it can be a lot of things, as long as we are always thinking what is the right decision for our students, our teachers, and our community. That should be the focal point always. And I think it's hard, right? We're all human, we're not going to do things all the time right. But I think that at the end of the day, if we're always striving for that, we're going to do better.
No doubt about that. Okay, so now let's go into different section I had in mind, and I'm sure people are watching, and school board members might watch this, and not only La Jolla school board members. I'm talking about everybody across the valley. I had Oscar Longoria on the show. I had Marco Suarez on the show, right? I learned from Oscar the Robin Hood Act, right? That very rich districts or very rich areas fill the Oscar's fill the bucket, everything trickles over, right? And then Marco Suarez talked about how McAllen's considered a well-off area, so they don't get as much money as a La Jolla school district and some surrounding areas. So then I thought to myself, wait a minute. So now I hear that we're making a lot more money than everyone else. Why don't we have better facilities than everyone else? Why don't we have better I won't say programs. La Jolla is one of the if anyone's watching from other surrounding districts, we have amazing programs, which is pretty cool. Better facilities. I think we're on top on the paying the salaries. I think we're one of the best, if not the best, in the state almost. But with that being said, there's two things. One is, and we're following the money. That's a big thing that I've been, follow the money. One of my buddies is a consultant. He's a mariachi consultant. He's awesome. He's amazing. He's played with Mariachi Vargas and all that stuff. How do you see yourself as a school board member saying, okay, we got to try to shave it off a little bit to where we might consolidate 2 director positions to 1? Or are you spending more? Are you spending less? Cutting here to get more for the students? What's that kind of stuff in your mind?
I think when we think about financial health, I think it's important to always look at that balance sheet, right? To be able to know how we're spending our money, right? I don't have that insight today. I'm still learning. Still learning, but I can tell you that, running a kitchen, through procurement, you want to know where your money's going at. And I think that is something definitely that we need to stay close with. If we are earning a certain amount of money for our district, are we allocating those funds to ensure that we have better facilities, to ensure that we're meeting the goals that we want, right? And if our goal is to provide a better environment, help our students succeed, support our teachers and our community, then we need to stay close to those numbers and really reevaluate how we're spending, our budget.
Right. Because see, one thing right off the top of my head is the other day I put an idea that I had for Mendezville was the student to teacher ratio is 16-1, which is unheard of. It's probably impossible. But then I think to myself, well, wait a minute. Then if we're getting, the reason I posted was because Oscar says more money for La Jolla, not necessarily La Jolla, but just the socioeconomic challenged school districts is if those kind of districts are getting more money, then maybe we should have more teachers to improve the teacher student ratio. Is that something you're on board for? What's your perspective on that?
I am. I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of teachers in our district to get their insight because I've never been an educator in the district, right? So I lean on their expertise to provide, just opportunities that we can have, right? Good or bad. And the one thing that I think we need to look a little bit closer at is, are we providing that environment for our students, right? Are they getting the attention that they need to be able to develop, to learn, to grow? And if we're not, then that number needs to change, right? We need to have more support, right? So when we think about more teachers in the classroom, better resources, right? So you think about e-learning and computers, teachers shouldn't be sharing laptops, right? Everybody should have their own tools so that they could be able to be successful in this new environment. So I agree with you. I think that if we need more teachers, then we should get more teachers to be able to ensure that we're going to be providing the best education for that child.
I posted a post earlier today that I saw with the whole Congress and president was maybe we should, cut the deficit or cut the congressmen's salaries. And now that I'm having this conversation with you, I was like, well, maybe we should consolidate. And I just made it just to bring up the discussion. It's like, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, well, why not hire more teachers, spend more on the classroom for teachers and students, and save on the directors and assistant directors. But I'm worse than you. I don't know because I don't work at the very top.
Yeah.
I just say I'm there to coach the students, make them sure they're athletic, make them sure they're fast, whatever it is. But it's just a mindset right now that I thought about it. And I wonder what not only your thought is, but everybody in our district and every district is. At what point do you say maybe we should save money in those $80,000, $70,000 salary jobs where they don't? And I'm sorry, but a teacher's grind, especially in the classroom with that grind, because I was in the classroom for a few
They're
years.
an essential worker. They're an essential worker.
Oh man, it is intense. The management of 30 kids in a classroom. Come on, me personally, I think every school board member across the valley, across the state, should be saying to Congress or the state, we need money. Or maybe we do have the money. We're just managing
And maybe we
it.
need to be the example, right? So
Yeah.
even if it's not changing in other areas, I think there's an opportunity for us to look at that, right? Like maybe that's the future model, right? Of what our education system can be and look like. I agree with you. Teachers are essential. They're on the forefront with our children every day, caring for them, loving them. I am who I am today because I had a lot of powerful educators that believed in me and just really, got me excited about, going to school. And so I see that value. They're a valuable piece of our child's life. So it's important that we take care of them and we give them the resources and the tools that they need to be able to be successful.
No doubt about that. You mentioned about you listen to the teachers. You have the comment you just made. And I think even my wife, and we've talked about this in other situations at the university level, is talk to the end user. What is the end user telling you? What is the student, the teacher that's in the classroom telling you? And for example, the other day I posted on, Marco mentioned that they had a lot of, one of the first districts to have Chromebooks and iPads and tablets. And at first they were like, ridiculed for it, but now they're like, oh, now everybody needs a Chromebook. Yeah. I think we're moving into that as a district. I've heard it around, but I'm glad you say you listen to the teacher. They are the end user. Those are the most important opinions, even though some of them might be a little bit aggravated sometimes or very upset. What do you do?
They have reason, right? They're dealing with different challenges, and so it's important to have that open mind, right? When we're thinking about just how we're teaching, how we're educating our students. And so we have to be open to that.
For sure.
And there's a lot of work, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but I think it's important that we listen, right? They have a voice. I'm a big fan of voting, right? Whether it's through our candidacy and even through our elected officials, now being a presidential year, right? Our teachers need to vote, right? Like everybody needs to go out and vote and voice their concerns. Look up your candidates, find out who they are, what they bring to the table. So that's why I was very fortunate, enough for you to reach out to me. I'm very honored to be here because I think it's important that your candidates, what they're striving for, because that allows you to make a better decision when you're voting.
And that's one of my main goals. I know I have someone on I have someone on Thursday.
Yep.
I reached out to a current school board member right now. I have a friend of mine trying to talk, some other people to come on the show. And it's not to elect Dr. Andie Gonzalez. It's not to elect. It's more of just talk about what your perspective is.
Having a fair dialogue.
Exactly. And see, a lot of people, the show, and it's growing a little bit into popularity, and people enjoy the show, and they're like, hey, yeah, make a debate. I'm like, I don't want to make a debate. This is not what it's about, man. I don't want drama. I want educated conversation.
Well, there's a way to have those crucial conversations, and you can have it professionally, right?
No doubt, absolutely. No doubt about that. When I talk about follow the money, I think, and I get a lot. I mean, I'm talking about at least once a week. They give me a hard time. People in the northern parts, they give me a hard time about the golf course. They gave me a hard time about the water park, that area, which is nice. I mean, it's nice. And when let's just say, for example, what is your perspective on that nice, very nice facility?
I think that, I wasn't there when those decisions were made, right? But I think that the way that I see it, as far as my personal standpoint, is that we need to look for solutions to see how we can make it work, right? Because it's already been done. And so, thinking through our assets, how can we create this, recreate this facility and find ways to have multi-use for it, right? How do we create an environment where maybe we have students be involved in some way or another, right? Maybe an externship where they're learning maybe some business skills. Maybe we use it for different teacher trainings. And I believe that they were using that like that for pre-COVID. We want that multi-use so that it can be a good return of investment.
Right.
Because it was a large investment.
It was.
We can't go back to, historical decisions, but what we can do is just look forward. How do we create solutions to make it worth our investment?
Right.
How do we, there's endless possibilities. My personal solution would be having it like a multi-use. How do we engage more students into that space, right? Whether it's, maybe through swimming classes, certifications, just expanding, the sky is the limit.
Right. No doubt about that. You're right. I mean, you weren't there. Whoever made those decisions made that decision.
Opportunities, right? There's opportunities. It was a large investment. And so how do we create, a better, solution, right? Because, we can't focus on the past. We just need to keep moving forward.
Let me give you this. Let me give you this to see, just so you can. And it's not to pick on you. It's just so people know.
It's okay. I don't mind.
It's the way people. That way people know how you think. Because my thing is, we need to vote on the way people think.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's very important for future reference, right? Because a golf course, you can't do anything about it. But just so the way that people are learning and meeting Dr. Andie Gonzalez.
Yep.
So I went golfing yesterday, and I went golfing today. Today I got the opportunity to golf with somebody that is familiar with the golf course. And I asked him, how many numbers does that golf? We started talking about the situation, the Mendezville podcast. And, I gave him a little insight of what I was going to talk about. I was like, hey, and they're like, yeah, you know what? You should bring it up. Why not? If, a big if, because I really don't know the numbers. This is just like I said, to know how you think. If you see, like, you win the school board election, you see that the water park, swimming pool, golf course is not bringing in the numbers percentage-wise. What do you do there? For such a big investment, and if you see that the numbers aren't, do you look to sell it? Or I mean, you did mention that, you try to figure out ways.
I think from a business standpoint, I think from a business standpoint, it's an asset, right? So I know that they've used it for different occasions, right? For special needs kids, right? And water day. So I think that there's some opportunities for use, right? I think that's where we would want to touch on it because it's already ours, right?
Right.
And so I think there's opportunities there, but from a business standpoint, you need that return of investment, right? You want to make sure that it's getting paid off, that you're seeing some return, right? But maybe the return is not always money value, Rudy. Maybe there's a soft number, right? So when you think of business, you think about that dollar amount, but then you also think of that soft number. That soft number is not going to always be captured by a dollar sign. So are we using that for our students? Are we using that for our teachers? Maybe there's a way that teachers can utilize this facility for, exercising, right? We talked about that hour and a half, right? Maybe we implement a swimming program. So I think that there's different ways, different ideas that we can think about. But from a business standpoint, working for a retailer, numbers are really important. But at the end of the day, right, there's a quote, those who serve first, win the most, right? So I think there's often opportunity for us to be able to give back to our community. And maybe that's one way that we do that.
Nice. I like it. Because to be honest with you, like you say, numbers.
I see both. It's a financial investment.
Right.
But I see a lot of families. I mean, we went a couple of was it last summer? We went a couple of times, and the people that use it like it, they enjoy it, right?
But it
is an investment, right? But is it, are the number of people that we want it to using it, right? And so that's where I think the questions and the concerns come about because it is an investment on the district.
Nice. Good points. The main reason I was asking that is because of the whole taxes.
Yeah,
The big taxes, and everybody's getting taxed, and the government
yeah.
taxing and
I mean,
taxing.
end result. I mean, there's always, you know, how you can profit, right? And it's selling it, right? But it's ours. So why don't we find ways to multi-use it, right? And
Right.
and maybe they've already been thought of, again.
I
Once
don't
I'm
know.
there,
I don't
I'll
know.
be able
So
to
I
make
don't know.
better decisions.
Awesome. It was a taxation because for even one of my buddies, he commented on how I'm against taxes, and I'm not against taxes. I like taxes. If you're going to use the money correctly, don't misspend it. That has nothing to do with La
That's why,
OISD.
that's why we have to vote.
It's
That's why we
more.
have to vote. We
That's
have
why
to
we
have
have
a
to
voice.
vote. You have to.
Every
That's absolutely right.
person counts. Every person counts. I can't stress that enough.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Anything else? I mean, to be honest with you, I see the answers you got. I think they're pretty good. I like the way you think, and I'm sure
Well, thank
everybody
you.
has certain perspectives. I mean, I'm not saying vote for Dr. Andie Gonzalez. This is nothing to. But I
I
just
hope you are. No, I'm just joking.
no. Hey, I'm
Yeah, I
trying.
hope those who are viewing get to see a little bit about who I am, what I bring to the table, and I encourage them to, make the right decision and learn more about me. And I hope that they vote for me on November 3rd.
I will say this. I want to bring everybody.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. I'll tell you what. Let me just give the viewers some insight. I learned my lesson on telling people who to vote for, because I before I had the whole Mendezville live, the Ever and the Joe Flores, and I said, you know what, let me make it entertaining at the same time, but at the same time objective. But then I added some flair. I had the jacket on. I took my jacket off. I had an Ever Villarreal shirt on. I learned my lesson not to tell people who to vote for because, man, I was so nervous Ever was going to lose. I was like, oh, what if he loses? Oh, my God. Now, he
No,
won.
but you shouldn't have to worry about that, right? As citizens, we should have the opportunity to voice who we think is the best candidate, and we shouldn't be shamed for that.
I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna go above and beyond because so we're 30 seconds lag. Just so you know,
Okay.
we're talking. We're
I
talking.
love to talk, and it's already close to bedtime, but
Right. But watch this. So we're almost done. But so when we're talking, people see it live in about. We're like, the buffer. Like it's like a 15 seconds. So my buddy in San Antonio posts this up. At what point can the citizens ensure that future leaders? No, I refuse to say future leaders. Future elected officials. I'm never going to mention any elected official as a leader. You're an elected official. Future elected officials won't make frivolous purchases. I'm not asking you to comment on that. I'm just saying because of the conversation we're having on the whole multi-million-dollar purchase that was made, I think we need to make sure that, and even with Linda right now, a while ago when I was talking to her, I think this with taxes and voters, we need to, when we vote, we need to, and the other day I said, vote on the budget. How do people manage our money when you're in that kind of responsibility?
And I even take it a step forward, right? Help those elected officials that you choose be accountable for what, they said they were going to do, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, we are human, but we need that accountability as well. I'm a woman of my word. So when I think about even the decisions that I make moving forward, always thinking in mind that child, that student, and the community that we serve, because that's what we are. We're public servants, and I think it's important that every decision that we make really rely on that focal point.
Let me great. Let me give you this one. This one seems pretty interesting. We have I'm not going to put it up there because it'll take a lot of the space. But this is what she says. I'm glad. Hey, viewers, ask questions that I might not have come up with. Oh, another one. People wanted me to talk about COVID. I'm not going to talk about COVID because I think at this point, you come in November 3rd. The current school board has to take care of COVID. We know COVID is dangerous. I already mentioned that a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. This is the question. Or there's a comment. Your path of sticking to your education and your struggle to achieve your degrees leads me to my question. What is your take on people that have worked so hard and don't get provided opportunities due to people placing their friends in high positions?
So I think that leans a lot into, equal employment opportunities. I'm a huge advocate for that. You either have your education, you have your experience, or you have your skills. So you do have to have those three things. But I can tell you, however, and this doesn't just happen in the district, this happens everywhere. We still have a lot of work to do when it comes to equal employment opportunities. And so when you think about my place, right, my personal view is that I will strive for those three things, right? And the district does a great job of hiring, educated, experienced teachers. But I, have personally experienced that myself in different career paths that I chose, that, sometimes that's overlooked. And it's important that, we begin to change that culture and really instill those three components. Again, education, experience, and skills. Because sometimes there's jobs that don't require education. I'm very familiar with that, right? I work for a large retailer, and, we have a lot of great individuals that have a lot of experience, a lot of skills. But at the end of the day, they need to meet those three things.
No doubt. That's one of the viewers that made that comment.
It's going to take a village to make
Yeah.
those changes.
Yeah, and progress. And I think to be honest with you, Andie, one of my main, and for all the viewers, is one of the main reasons I'm going that came into my mind after the whole Joe Flores show that I put on is, wait a minute, we can really influence our community, our culture, to change the mindset, to lead us forward, because there's got to be growth, and I think we can grow a lot faster if we just do it more professionally and without those kind of cases that person just mentioned.
And positively, right?
Yeah,
Have a positive impact. There's a way to do it professionally, positive, and doing it right. That's all I hope for in this campaign, and that's what I'm going to stand by close to, doing it professionally, respectfully, and just giving it all my 150%.
Okay, it's getting late. I think we have a pretty good standing. People know your point of view. Great perspective. Any closing comments?
Well, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, Rudy, giving me a little bit of your time this evening, right? I just want to tell our viewers that, I'm an open mind, open heart. I want to continue to serve and be your voice. So coming November 3rd, please select Dr. Andie Gonzalez for your next place 5 candidate for La Joya ISD School Board.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andie. Dr. Andie Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being here, giving me your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, everyone. That is Mendezville Live for today. I will say some pretty good information, some pretty good perspective. Not to say she's right in everything, not to say she's wrong in everything. My goal is just to, as voters, we need to understand how we think if we're going to have elected officials. I think at this point, understanding more about politics, learning stories. I'm not into our leaders. I think we need to get away from that. I think we need to understand that they're elected officials. And as elected officials, the elected officials themselves need to understand we as voters, not only for the school board, we need to understand school board, city, state, nationals, they're elected officials. And if we as a nation, we as a region, we as a district, we as city and the citizens understand that we can move people to focus on voting for the way people think, their mindset, their approach, we can have a lot of progress in all those levels. So please, everyone, please go out and vote. Please learn of your candidates. I have another candidate coming in on Thursday. I'm trying to get a 20-year veteran of being on the school board. I think he might come in tomorrow, and he might actually be in studio. We need to be informed of our voters. I invite all the school board current incumbents that are running, the new people that are running, city, school board, mission, anyone. We need to learn on how you think, your perspectives, your approaches. That is my message for you tonight. I think she was a great guest. I personally think we need to get all people running in this campaign to come on the show to just discuss on what the perspectives are, to let people know how they think on different matters. And thank you, viewers, for the questions. I really appreciate you guys watching. And one more time, if you ever feel like having some beef jerky, you go buy some Primo's beef jerky. Look them up on Facebook. Also, if you ever need help with your immune system, you look at 4Life independent distributor Rodolfo Mendez. You can find supplements at www.4life.com/Rudy Mendez. You all have a good night. Thanks for watching.